I was just planning to tell you about the news that we're about to see in the upcoming releases. And then Sencha has been kind enough to send us Luke Kilpatrick, who is the developer relations manager.
Yes.
So he's the perfect guy. He's actually responsible for making sure that we are having a good time and that we are evolving our groups and they're living on and growing. So this is nice. He's going to talk about the very exciting new product that you may have heard of, but I will leave that to him. This SenchaCon was a 30% increase in last year's SenchaCon. That's nice. It's good for us that Sencha is growing and the interest. 800 visitors from 36 countries. So I think there were actually more people that were not from the States that were from the States.
No,
kind of.
There was a lot. We had some good representation across the board.
Yeah.
Good Swedish presence.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, the Swedes. Yeah, and the what I was most interested in was the next release of ExtJS. It's called ExtJS Next, but it's unknown if it's going to be a 4.5, a 5.0. So it's about to be announced. But the absolutely coolest thing was for ExtJS was that we're going to be able to use ExtJS on tablets or on devices that are tappable and pinchable that you can use gestures on. So that's a complete new approach, which may be confusing because then you don't know if you're going to use Sencha Touch or you're going to use ExtJS. But it is a hard world now. There are touch devices that are really big. It's a TV, they're 60 inches tall. I mean, is that Sencha Touch or is it ExtJS? I don't know. So it's just a matter of deciding. And if it's a heavy, information-heavy application, maybe you should use ExtJS on tap. What will be introduced when that happens is that Sencha Core, which is a package that you include, will be the same for Sencha Touch and ExtJS. So and that's really interesting because then they're going to be even more similar. We're going to take the good stuff out of from Sencha Touch and put that in ExtJS. And what happens when we have an ExtJS application and all of a sudden we're going to tap on it? Sencha is making it pretty easy for us. It's actually hopefully a no-brainer, but if you have a click event, that is internally going to be interpreted as a tap. So the code is still gonna work, hopefully, in a lot of the cases. A big thing is gestures and event normalization. Also, we get momentum scrolling in ExtJS then. All you have to do is put auto scroll true and you get all the bumpy nice feeling, and it's also in ExtJS. Also, a lot of time has been spent on global event delegation. More of the events that we put on the DOM is now lifted up to the document body and delegated down to where they're supposed to be. That is taken from Sencha Touch, but they're making it even more moving everything up. Because if you make a pinch on an iPad, I mean, that's going to affect probably a lot of components. It's going to be hard. So they need to lift everything up to the window or document body and then delegate down. I was hoping to do a ExtJS tap demo, but that ain't. I don't have an iPad connected, and let's just look how it looks. It's going to be now. It's you don't actually have the momentum scrolling here because it's on a Windows machine, on a Mac here. Yeah, and what's new is also that we're going to have a Neptune Touch. There are going to be new themes, so ExtJS is going to be bigger and to handle all the to fit fingers and hands on it. Also, a lot of effort for ExtJS Next is done on grid rendering to make grids even faster. Cells in grids are really heavy on rendering. if you change a value in a record and that makes a cell update, that cell update is actually going to make the whole row update, which is going to make the whole grid update, and then you have a complete layout of the grid just for one cell. So to avoid that, they're going to introduce a lot of new smarter techniques for that. That on a column you can say that this cell is actually not gonna be it's not gonna care about any other cells. So if you change this value that I have in this cell, then you update me. Otherwise, don't care. I don't know a lot more about that, but there's some things down there. Also, what I like, which is pretty cool, is gadgets. That means that you can have components in grids. You can put a button in a cell. We couldn't do that before. We could do, but it's going to be really heavy on the DOM. So that I will actually show a super cool demo of. Super cool. This is as cool as it gets. Look here. What you see here is actually ext charts in cells, and you can have a lot of those. The whole secret with gadgets is that you don't have several instances of these charts. You have one instance, and then you have data flowing through that component, which points to DOM elements that you update. So it's actually a loop going on in the component. There's only one of it, and then it changes depending on the data that you put into it. So it's nice for cells. This could not be done without gadgets. There is also a gadget grid I can show you. Example of a button in a cell. A progress bar. I can see the use for this. And also, they are communicating with each other. These are actually just 3 components, one for each column. You can also put line charts, bars. Yeah, you get the picture here. And they're actually working as you see. They can communicate back when they have mouse over. So they're behaving just like a component, but they're very lightweight. Also, Sencha Touch. Release date today, Luke?
It's been delayed just a little bit more. They want to add in a few extra things with iOS 7 coming out.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. What is new there, the biggest thing probably, is the touch grid, which also makes the decision even harder, because now you can make a Sencha Touch app with a grid. That would be maybe one of the reasons that you chose ExtJS over Sencha Touch. Now when you have Touch in ExtJS, yeah, what are you going to choose? But that grid looks absolutely awesome, and it's really. I was hoping to demo it, but it got the demo got closed on the web because it's now part of the Sencha Complete and the Touch bundle. So it costs. It's gonna be a license on the Touch grid. It's not gonna be included in the Sencha Touch library, if possible. But this is something that soon is going to be released, so you're probably going to be able to just buy the Sencha Complete stuff, and then you have it. And then they are embracing Cordova. So Cordova, for you who doesn't know, Cordova and PhoneGap is pretty much exactly the same thing. They have different owners, I guess, but they are following. I think PhoneGap is a little bit slower on releases, and Cordova is more updated more often. But I think now it's, yeah. But it's the same thing. It's for wrapping your HTML5 app in a native shell that works on iPhone or Android and BlackBerry and Windows Phone and even more stuff, like 5 or 6 of them. This is interesting. There in Sencha Touch 2.1 there is a native packager that I don't know what it used. Something
Yeah.
What was it called? Okay. Yeah. Either way, I think the approach to go now is Cordova.
It's become more of a standard, so that we're trying to move to that direction.
more of a standard. So every API that we are familiar with will have a .cordova, and there's even some new ones. So this is super exciting. I mean, it makes it so much easier to wrap it in Cordova, and that I'm actually gonna demo for you how easy it is to make a native app. Let me change to the demo gods and see if they are with me. Can you see my terminal there? I'm standing in a Sencha Touch application directory, which I've just created. Let's see if we can start it up. No, we cannot. And all you do is you type Sencha ant Cordova cloud upload, and it will take your standard Sencha Touch application, packet it so PhoneGap understands it, send it through a cloud, send it up to a cloud service, package it, package it there for the respective device, and then you can just was it PhoneGap build? So see if you see, it's almost ready here. It says my application's name is theme1 for some reason. It says it just updated it from 08 to 09. And let's go in here and see. Now you can see that it didn't manage to make an iOS app, but it made a Windows app. That's HP. What kind of device is that?
The old Palm.
The old Palm, yeah, the Palm tree, yeah. The APK file is already there. It's ready to just throw on any Android device. This is BlackBerry. I don't have the key for that. You need some developer key. I don't have that yet. This I don't even know where it is. But the reason that this didn't work was because of the certificate key, password. So what you do then, when you just take your, it's going to generate a file for you that you just drag and drop into your iTunes library and sync it with your phone, and then the application is on your phone. This is super easy, and well, you still need to set up and get your iOS certificates and stuff like that, but hopefully that's a one task job. So this is cool. And let's see what we have more here. Also, Sencha Touch is gonna support XML HTTP request level 2. I didn't read much about that. That's pretty advanced stuff. But what you get is the possibility to communicate with the request as it goes on. You can. That means we can make a progress bar during a HTTP request. We can. I don't know if there's event on the request, or does anyone know how that works? But the thing is that we're not stuck and to wait when it's ready. We can query the request and see, oh, now I'm halfway done, or now I'm uploading this picture and I have 30% left. To be able to do this Sencha Core package and the Cordova stuff, we heavily rely on SenchaCom now, and there's going to be a new release 4.0. I don't know how much time I have left now. Am I good? Sencha App Watch, for anyone that has been using SenchaCom. Okay, I don't think I need to show that, but before this release, you needed to, as soon as you made a SAS change, you needed to go out to your terminal and type Sencha app build, and then you have to wait for like 2.5 minutes before you can see anything on the screen. That was really boring and also not that productive. So now we just have a command that says Sencha app watch, and then you can just make your changes, and SenchaCom will detect when there is a SAS change, and just generate the app, much like Compass Watch, if you're familiar with that, but for the complete app. So even dependencies and stuff like that works. I already showed you the Sencha and Cordova. And then a big update is also Sencha Architect, but that is Luke gonna show us. So yeah, so that was the news in big. You please compliment them if there's something I'm missing.